We are live. We are live. We are live. I'm Dr. Frita, and it's Medical Monday, the last one of 2024. And boy, do we have some hot health topics in the headlines for you. Of course, we'll talk about the biggest headlines that we had for health topics in 2024, including Sean P. Diddy Combs and his alleged pink cocaine use and how that affects the body. Also, how certain date drugs can affect the body as well. We'll talk about Bishop T.D. Jakes and how he had that medical emergency, which led to him having a surgical procedure. We might even talk about RFK Jr. and his brain worm. What in the world? We'll also talk about Oprah. You know, she stayed in the headlines. At one time, she was hospitalized. She said it was for an infection, a gastroenteritis. And y'all were side-eyeing her, saying she was on weight loss shots. Then later, she shared that she actually has taken weight loss shots, though I do believe she actually did have an infection. We'll talk about Liam Payne and how his substance use was related to his untimely not being alive. And of course, we'll talk about the most recent hot health topics in the headlines, including our great loss. President Jimmy Carter has passed away at the age of 100. We'll talk about his diagnosis, and we'll tackle that in myth versus fact. We'll also talk about this bird flu. Oh my goodness, y'all. It's a state of emergency in California. And I got a chance to be on the national news show, News Nation. You know, the show with Chris Cuomo, Darian Abrams, Nick Smith, Nicole Burley. Well, I was called to be on News Nation on Christmas morning to share my medical expertise on bird flu. I'll share it with you through my favorite game, myth versus fact. Y'all, we'll hit all these headlines that we possibly can, including Princess Kate, including Wendy Williams. But just stay with me because we'll also have a little quick bit of a live Q&A while I'll answer your questions right here live and on stage. This is Medical Monday, the last one of the year. We're about to get into it and have a great evidence-based medical conversation. Stay with me. Hello, hello. We're live. I'm Dr. Frita. For those of you who are new to the channel, I am a medical doctor who has been board certified in nephrology, which is the study of kidneys and high blood pressure. I've also been board certified in internal medicine and pediatrics and obesity medicine. And so I am a medical doctor who is very nosy when it comes to a lot of medical topics. I have a lot of knowledge. I love to share it. And that's what I'll be doing it with you right here on this YouTube Live. I'm not doing it alone. I'd like to welcome my practice manager of over a decade to the stage and my co-host, Miss Shador. Come on to the stage. How are you doing?
Doing good, Dr. Frita. How are you doing today?
I'm doing well. The year's almost over, Shador.
It is.
And you have a little more going on at your place than the rest of us for this last day of the year. How's it going?
I do. It's going well. Just keeping it small this year for the little one. Nothing major.
Good.
We'll do it late celebration, bring in the new year as well. So
that sounds good. That sounds good. I certainly had a very good Christmas holiday. And, you know, I mentioned that I was on News Nation on Christmas morning talking about the bird flu. Also on this past Saturday, I got a chance to be on Good Day Atlanta, which is a wonderful, exciting news show. And I talked about some tips for having a healthy, happy new year. If you go to my Instagram at dr.frita, I did a little behind the scenes post. And for that bird flu segment, I'll be posting that either later today or in the morning. And so, you know, we just had a really great time, great family. And for my members, you got a chance to see one of my members only videos that I posted where I talked a little bit about my Christmas and the day after Christmas and family and all that good stuff. That's for members only. And for those of you in the chat, if you'd like to join our membership community, please do. We're having a good time. I give you members only videos. You also get a first peek at some of the videos that I release. And every month we do a live Q&A that's only for members where we go back and forth with questions, with answers. And I give you just, hey, full access to me and all of the medical information I have to share, evidence-based, of course. So if you're not a member, come be a member. Just click the link in the description for those of you here on the live chat and those of you in the replay crew. Speaking of which, Shador, who was the first person in the chat today?
Yes, our first person today was Miss V.E. Hall.
Hey, Miss V.E. Hall. Miss V.E. Hall, thank you. You've been supportive of us all year long. So glad that you're joining us as we close out this year. All right. Well, we're closing out the year and we're closing it out with a chapter that has been quite great for over 100 years, and that's with President Jimmy Carter. We know that he passed away on yesterday at the age of 100. And he was the governor here in Georgia back in 1971, and then he became president in 1977, serving one term. He had a pretty humble growing up. He grew up on a peanut farm. He was married to his wife, the longest marriage of a president in history. And he was controversial actually in 1971 when he became governor of Georgia, because he said the time for racism to end is now. Surprise, surprise, a lot of Georgians didn't like that, but I like it. And so, certainly praying for all of President Carter's loved ones to do well. And we thank him for his service and a 100-year legacy to be remembered. Well, we know that he had a lot of health struggles, as I suppose if you live for a century, you might have some health struggles too. So let's just open up, Shador, with myth versus fact as it relates to President Carter. And Shador, I'm going to ask you if you don't mind reading this first myth versus fact question for me, or statement.
Absolutely. President Jimmy Carter had a diagnosis of cancer.
Okay, yes. So President Jimmy Carter had a diagnosis of cancer. Put an M1 if that's a myth. Put an F1 if that's a fact. President Jimmy Carter had a diagnosis of cancer. M1 if that's a myth. If that's not what he had, put an F1 if that's a fact. All right, y'all good folks in the chat. Y'all normally jump on in and participate. Do we have any takers already?
We have a couple of takers. V.E. Hall says it's a fact.
It's a fact that he had cancer. Okay, that's what V.E. Hall says. What say you, other members of the chat? Come on, y'all can still put your answers in.
Janet says it's a myth.
Janet said it's a myth. He did not have cancer. She said everybody who passes away does not have to have cancer. All right, Janet. Who else?
I Can See Clearly also says it's a myth.
I can see clearly. She says it's a myth. Ooh, we'll see if that answer is clear. I can see clearly. Anyone else?
Miss Yolanda says fact.
Miss Yolanda says fact. All right. All right. Are y'all ready? Are you ready for the drum roll? Drum roll. Anyone else, Shador?
Yeah, a lot of people joining in today. Dr. Frita Margaret says it's a fact.
She's okay. She says a fact. Who's that? Margaret?
Margaret, yes, ma'am.
All right. You want to be a know-it-all, Miss Margaret? Let's see if you're right. Okay.
And Melvina says it's a myth.
Okay, Javina says a myth. All right, all right. Myth versus fact. President Jimmy Carter had a diagnosis of cancer. That is a fact. That is a fact. He had a diagnosis of cancer. So he had a liver mass, President Carter did. They removed the liver mass thinking that perhaps it was a cancer that originated in the liver, but they found out that it was actually metastatic melanoma. Yes, the skin cancer, metastatic melanoma, which ultimately spread to his brain. So yes, you may have heard that he had a brain tumor, brain cancer. That was also the melanoma that he had. He was treated for it, and the diagnosis was back in 2015, I believe. But myth versus fact, it is a fact that he had cancer. He had some other issues as well. He had multiple falls, needing stitches. He had brain bleeds, just many things that he had. But one thing that his family said when he went into hospice 22 months ago, they said that he was still there, I know one thing that he said during this most recent presidential election, he said that he wanted to live long enough to vote for his candidate. And he was very clear that his candidate was Vice President Kamala Harris. So he was actually apparently had a pretty good mind till the end and was still able to enjoy life and make choices. Yeah. So he had melanoma. So while we're talking about melanoma, so of course that is a skin cancer. And it often presents as a dark colored cancer. It can have a blackish look, dark brown, reddish, blue. If you have some type of a mark on your body or a mole and it has multiple different colors, if it has irregular, abnormal borders, if it grows, okay, if it's getting larger, please run, don't walk to your doctor because it could be melanoma. It could be melanoma. We know melanoma can be very aggressive. It can spread, such as his case. There are many other skin cancers as well, such as basal skin cancer, squamous cell cancers, other cancers that tend to be more slow growing. But the melanoma is one that is very aggressive. So make sure you're in touch with your dermatologist, especially if you're someone who's fair skinned, light skinned, a lot of sun exposure. Make sure you're wearing sunscreen. All people should be wearing sunscreen, even if you are blessed with the melanin. Okay, you can get cancer too. In fact, I have another question before we get to our myth versus fact question. Who can tell me What Black legendary singer and performer actually died with melanoma? What Black legendary singer died with melanoma? Yeah. So while y'all are putting that answer in, I just do again want to remind people that all of us should be wearing some type of an SPF, some type of a protection. And, many of us grew up, myself included, thinking that because I have dark skin, I couldn't be affected by the sun. Of course, as a kid, I'm not worried about aging or anything. But the summer after my 6th grade year, I was in a soccer camp. Okay, so I was outdoors in Florida for a week in the sun every day. I would see all of my white counterparts putting on their hats and their sunscreen and all that stuff. And I'd be like, child, bye. Don't you know, by the end of that camp, my skin started burning, like right around my cheekbones, bridge of my nose. And then it turned like a red color. I looked like a chocolate covered cherry. And then it peeled. Honest to goodness, I didn't know what that was. It was a sunburn. So Black people, dark skinned people, we can get sunburned too. But beyond that, you just want to protect your skin with some type of a sunscreen. Consult with your doctor and your dermatologist. All right. Was anyone able to tell me what legendary Black singer died with melanoma?
Yeah, a couple of people chimed in.
Who?
Kimberly
Hi, Kimberly.
and Jetty.
Hi, Jetty.
Both
What'd
said
they
Bob
say?
Marley.
Bob Marley. You got it. Bob Marley. He died with melanoma. And his was a particular type, acral lentiginous melanoma. And that's one of the melanomas that's not found on your typical skin with sun exposure, but it can be found on skin that has no hair, like under your toenail. That's where his was, on the bottom of your feet. And of the melanomas that people of African descent or Black people get, this acral lentiginous one is the most common. And with Bob Marley, they did make the diagnosis. He thought it was just some type of injury he had, but the treatment they recommended for him reportedly was to have that toe amputated because, of course, the melanoma is very aggressive. He opted not to do so. Ultimately, the melanoma spread all over his body, including to his brain, and Bob Marley passed away at the age of 36. Isn't that unbelievable? He had such a full life, such an influence on the culture, on all cultures, and he was only 36 years old. But yeah, so Black people, just remember, you can get skin cancer too, so stop playing. All right. Let's move into one more question in this game, myth versus fact, and then we'll get on with the rest of the hot health topics and the headlines. Make sure you give us a like as you come on in. That's right. You see that thumbs up, hit that like, copy the link, share it in your group chat. Y'all know y'all been group chatting, telling everybody Merry Christmas, Happy Kwanzaa, Happy Hanukkah. Going back to that group chat and put in the copy of this link because we're giving evidence-based medicine that will be helpful. And those of you in the replay crew, don't be shy. Give me a thumbs up, please. We appreciate the likes. All right. So, myth versus fact. Let's talk about the bird flu. Bird. Honey, bird is the word because in California, it has been declared as a state of emergency, this bird flu. But here's my question, myth versus fact. Shador, I'm going to ask you to read this one for me too, please.
Yes. The current bird flu outbreak has been spreading from human to human.
All right. So we've talked about bird flu here. And so my question is, with this current outbreak of bird flu, have we had human to human transmission? Okay. Have we had a human who's passing on to another human? Put an M2 if it's a myth, put an F2 if it's a fact that humans can spread it directly to other humans with this recent bird flu outbreak. All right, as y'all are taking your pencils and bubbling in M2 versus F2, just a reminder, we first learned about the bird flu back in 1996, and it was in wild geese in China at that time. And of the humans who did get it, over 50% passed away. Okay, there was a greater than 50% mortality. It is one of the influenza A viruses. Like, we talk about the flu. Gosh, we talked about Mariah Carey last week and how she had to cancel Christmas concerts because she had the flu. Oh, and then President Clinton. Since we last met, President Clinton was treated for the flu at Georgetown University Hospital, which is where I did my MedPeds residency. He was treated and apparently is doing well. Listen, make sure that after you finish this live, you check out my Instagram at dr.frita because I did a short where I go into detail about the flu and I answer the question, can you get the flu from the flu shot? So yeah, check out the Instagram. Give me a follow. I have different information on my Instagram than I have on the YouTube. You'll find it fun. Trust me. Y'all know I like to have a good time. But back to the myth versus fact. Bird flu can, in this recent outbreak in the United States, has there been human to human transmission of bird flu? All right, where are my med heads? Who are these little know-it-alls? Who put an M2 because they think, nah, there hasn't been human to human transmission? Who put an F2 where they're like, that's a fact, Jack. There's been human to human transmission.
So Clara, hi Clara.
Hi, Clara.
F2.
She says it's a fact that humans get, and I'm talking about bird flu specifically. Bird flu, H5N1, not the regular flu, the influenza that we get vaccinated for each year. Okay, she says, yeah, humans can pass it to humans. Who else?
Nancy is calling it a myth today. It's a myth.
So she thinks that there is not human to human, but you're thinking maybe people are just still picking it up from wild birds, from cattle, from unpasteurized milk, from eggs, potentially from chickens, from turkeys. You're still thinking that humans are getting it, but not from other humans. All right, now who is this? Who said that?
Nancy.
All right, Nancy, I see you. Who else do we have?
Logan. Hi, Logan. Logan said,
hi, Logan. Logan said it's a fact.
Says a fact.
That it's coming from humans to humans. Okay. Anyone else? Shador?
Yeah, Sheree. Hi, Sheree.
Oh, Sheree. Hey, welcome back. What you say, Sheree?
This is a myth.
A myth. She doesn't think humans can give it to other humans. All right. Well, let's do this. I'll give you the answer. What the heck? I'll give you the answer now. Y'all, look at me. I'm getting so much kinder in my game. With the current outbreak of the bird flu, there is human to human transmission. That is a myth. That is a myth. Now, we know science is ever evolving, ever changing. But as of now, with this bird flu, this H5N1, it's being passed from animals, poultry, unpasteurized milk, cattle, those things. Humans are picking it up. So wild birds tend to have the bird flu. And they're often asymptomatic, no symptoms. And we know that in their droppings, they can have it. And so if you have something that's been contaminated by bird droppings, if you're someone who's working with cattle, if cattle have picked it up from these birds, then if you're working and you're on a contaminated surface and then you go and eat, or things of that nature, then you can get it. But right now, it has not gone from human to human. But scientists are showing us, and we've lived life, we know about what happens when we have these lockdowns. All it takes is a mutation or two, and it may end up going into being human to human transmission. And if it is as deadly as it was back in 1996, we're talking about over a 50% mortality if it gets to that. Hopefully we don't go to that, but let me just show a little piece of the clip for when I was on News Nation on Christmas morning. All know, and we've all lived through the pandemic, and we've had warnings before that it only starts with one, right? Right now we have one severe case. We have another human case that's a sick person in LA County. And with the bird flu, we first discovered it back in 1996 in China among wild geese. And there was approximately a 50% mortality once it started spreading. And so we should be worried enough to at least do the research to have vaccines in place and possible treatment. And with that, there's a certain type of research we may need to go ahead and do.
Dr. Frita, not to sound the alarm, but are we on the cusp of a pandemic?
I don't think we're on the cusp of a pandemic, but we definitely need to be cautious. We know that the bird flu right now, it's found in wild birds, but it can certainly be spread to poultry. So we've seen it in geese, we've seen it in chickens, we've seen it in cattle. It's definitely in milk, unpasteurized milk. And now that we know that humans can get it, even though there has not been a human to human spread as of yet, we know that these viruses can mutate. And so we just need to stay ahead of things. That's it. There has not been a human to human transmission yet. I pray that we don't have one. But y'all know how science is. We just have to keep paying attention. But yeah, what I will be doing, I'll be posting either later on today or tomorrow. I'll post the full segment of me on News Nation. That was Nick Smith, who I love having conversations with him every time I go on News Nation. He's very good. He's entertaining, but he's also highly intelligent. And it's just a good time. All right. Well, thank y'all for playing my little game, myth versus fact. Now let's talk about some more of these hot health topics that have been in the headlines in 2024, including Oprah. Full disclosure, I love Oprah Winfrey. Y'all leave her alone. Well, y'all know she's staying in the headlines. She's always in the headlines about something. She does many wonderful, good philanthropic things, and y'all don't have talk about that, I feel, but y'all always want to be in Oprah's business. All right. We know that earlier this year, Oprah had gastroenteritis. She had an infection in her stomach. And I do believe that she's telling the truth about having the infection. And y'all remember Gail got on TV and told Oprah's business. Well, the reason I believe she had gastroenteritis because there were several other people with whom she was in close contact who also got sick to their stomachs. If she were sick just because of an Ozempic shot, Mounjaro, Wegovy, or whatever, then it would have been just her being sick, right? It wouldn't be contagious. And so I really do believe that was a separate issue, even though y'all gave her the side eye. Later on, she did come out and share that she has been taking a weight loss shot, specifically semaglutide. We know semaglutide is what Ozempic consists of, as well as Wegovy. Well, let's hear what Oprah has to say about herself, her weight loss journey, and her shots.
If you feel like being in a bigger body is great and you don't want to do anything about that and you feel fine, that is beautiful. I really admire people who really believe that. And I also feel like if you think if you can work out, and I'm like you, Charles, I couldn't work out anymore. I mean, like I can't climb any faster or run any faster. I can't, that was down to eating one meal a day. There's nothing else I can do. So if whatever works for you, I think one of the reasons I wanted to do it is that I let people make their own choices for their health and well-being.
All right. She basically told y'all stay out her business. Okay. That's what she said when it comes to weight loss shots, because you remember, she was on the board of Weight Watchers, talking about the counting points and just doing everything with lifestyle. Well, she actually resigned from the board. And do you know what she did with the money from her stock in Weight Watchers? She donated it. She donated to the National Museum of African American History and Culture in Washington, D.C. I didn't see that in the headlines. Not a lot. I do my little research, but I felt like that should really have been highlighted. She took that Weight Watcher stock money and she donated it to the culture. But getting back to Oprah, this is what I want y'all to do. Look, all these folks who are judgmental, judgy wudgy was a bear, put a 1 if you think that, for the most part, people who use weight loss shots, I'm not talking about for diabetes, but people who use the shots for weight loss, if you think they're being lazy, put a 2 if you are with Oprah, it's your business, and you think that there is a place for weight loss shots. Again, I'm not talking about using the shots for diabetes, but put a 1 if you think using shots for weight loss is lazy. Put a 2 if you think there's a time and a place and you don't have a problem with it. All right. But of course, when we talk about these weight loss shots, we're talking about the semaglutide, which is one of the GLP-1 agonists, okay, glucagon-like peptide 1 agonist. And we know that helps your stomach to slow down in motility. So if your stomach slows down, how fast it gets rid of food, of course, that makes you feel full for longer. And so if you're feeling full for longer, you tend to eat less, okay? So that's the semaglutide, which is what is in the Ozempic and the Wegovy. Okay. And then for the tirzepatide, which is what's in Mounjaro and Zepbound, we know we have not only the GLP-1 agonist, we also have the GIP, the glucose dependent insulinotropic polypeptide. Okay. And studies show us that even though both are really great for diabetes mellitus type 2 management and for weight loss, studies show us that people tend to lose a significantly higher amount of weight on the tirzepatide, right? The one that has the dual action. So on the Mounjaro and the Zepbound. And so I'm going to find out which ones y'all think that people are being lazy with the weight loss shots. But then I also have another question that I'm going to follow up with after that. And that is, I want you all to list the benefits that we found scientifically with some of these weight loss shots, some of the health benefits beyond diabetes control, beyond weight loss. Okay. And a hint, we talked about one of them last week. All right. So which one of my opinionated med heads weighed in, Shador? Who feels like you are lazy if you're using these shots for weight loss?
So very few said they were one with lazy. It was the overwhelming. They don't care. Or number 2. So with lazy, it was blue, butterflies. Lemmy. Okay. And Logan with the 1.
Logan. Okay. And I wish I had y'all up where y'all could kind of talk and qualify, because, there are levels to who folks are calling lazy. You may look in Hollywood and you see someone who is quite thin and a size 4, woman in a size 4 dress, but maybe she wants to be a 0. So perhaps they would look at that and be like, you know what? You're not even living with obesity, and they may call that person lazy. But perhaps if they're talking about someone who already has not only diabetes, but heart disease, high cholesterol, bad joints, who used to weigh 300 pounds, now they're down to 250. And in the words of Oprah, they've done every single thing they can. Maybe they wouldn't call that person lazy. I don't know. There could be nuances, but y'all came out there loud and proud. But we had an overwhelming amount of 2s. They kind of feel like it's case dependent or not their business. Kind of like yes. Oprah says. Who put some 2s in there? Give me a few 2s, please.
Elonia.
Hi.
Carolyn.
Okay.
Izzy Wizzy.
Hey there. Izzy Lizzy. What you doing?
And Leslie.
Hi, Leslie. 2. All right. So I'm with the 2s. And full disclosure, for those of you who are new to this channel. So yes, Dr. Frita, I'm an MD. I have multi-board certifications. One of my board certifications is in obesity medicine. And as I studied obesity medicine, one of the things that became really apparent is that living with obesity is not just a matter of a choice or being lazy or eat less, move more. It's not that simple. And we all know that, because if you look around, you have some people who can eat, and they're not going to gain a pound. And you have other people who, even if they really try to restrict themselves, they may not be, morbidly living with obesity, but they're just not going to be skinny. They're different genetics. And there have been so many different studies to show us, like we used to have twin studies that were done, different sets of identical twins who were put and camped, fed the exact same thing, the exact same time, the exact same amount of calories. And you had, when you're identical twins, they gained, like one set might gain 7 pounds, the other set might gain 20 pounds, same diet, right? Which lets you know that we have different genetic factors, not making excuses, because yes, there are lifestyle things and some responsibility, but definitely there can be a genetic component to living with obesity. And either way, if someone's living with obesity for whatever cause, we know that puts you at risk for kidney disease. It puts you at risk for heart attack, strokes, diabetes, for being unalive. And so my thing is, I like to use all tools, not just using a medicine and then say, hey, kick up your feet, don't do anything, but using the medicine along with lifestyle, exercise, eating well, all of those things. I'm like Oprah. As long as we have some safety profile, right, and the benefits outweigh the risk, then I'm like, do you. And I don't prescribe it to everyone. I don't prescribe it to everyone who walks up in my office. And yes, some of my size 4s who want to be size 0s, nope, you're not getting it. But you will get it if I find that it's medically indicated and we have the conversation. I feel like it's something that would be proper for you. All right. So for some people, I'll be looking at them like I'm a number 1, but truthfully, I'm a 2. It's a case-by-case basis. Now, did anyone chime in, Shador, on some of the benefits outside of weight loss, outside of diabetes, some of the benefits we found scientifically from some of these weight loss shots in 2024?
Yes. So Robin, hi, Robin.
Hi, Robin.
Chimed in with alcoholism.
Yes. Okay. So Robin, yes. So it has not been FDA approved, but you are absolutely correct. There have been some studies showing that the same way that these medications like Ozempic and Mounjaro, the same way they decrease your cravings for certain foods, they can also potentially decrease your cravings for alcohol. So right now, some studies are being done, and you have people who anecdotally have said they just don't crave alcohol anymore. So we'll stay tuned and see what 2025 has to bring. But there have been some reports that these weight loss shots could potentially be used for substance use or for alcohol overuse disorder. Very good. Anyone else? That was a good one.
No one else chimed in with what has been scientifically proven, Dr. Frita. Can you?
Okay. Well, we do know that we just had an FDA approval for Zepbound. I'm gonna give y'all a couple more seconds. An FDA approval for Zepbound for a health condition. We talked about this one last week. Anyone? Bueller. All right. Well, Zepbound was approved as a medical treatment, as medicine for obstructive sleep apnea. Remember? So for those of you who snore, who call hogs, who sit up there, snore, and then silence, you stop breathing, you have obstructive sleep apnea, your doctors may have prescribed you with a CPAP, and you might not like wearing it, even though that can save lives, because we know that obstructive sleep apnea can increase your risk for hypertension, for pulmonary hypertension as well. Okay, high blood pressure within the lungs, where the ultimate treatment is a lung transplant. Okay. And we know obstructive sleep apnea can cause daytime somnolence, having you sleeping during the day, possibly falling asleep while you're driving, not being productive. Remember, there are various risk factors, but one of them is living with obesity. And so there was a 52-week study done with people taking Zepbound, which is the tirzepatide, the same as Mounjaro, versus a placebo, okay, where there wasn't any real medicine in their injection. And they found that there was a clinically significant difference, and the people taking Zepbound actually had a much improved sleep apnea. So now we actually have an FDA approval for Zepbound as far as obstructive sleep apnea. Okay, so the alcohol, that's not FDA approved as of yet, but studies are showing that, you know, we could be leaning that way. The obstructive sleep apnea, that's FDA approved. Guess what else? It's on the label of some of the weight loss shots. Improvement in heart disease. Okay, there's been an association with taking certain weight loss shots like the semaglutide with a decreased risk of heart attacks and strokes. We even had another study, the FLOW trial, looking at chronic kidney disease, where there was a correlation with the weight loss shots and having an improvement or slowing down with the progression of kidney disease. So the studies are being done, but we're actually finding that there are many benefits. Do we have long-term data yet? No, we don't. But we're working on it. All right. So that's that on that in the weight loss shots. Y'all, come on in. As you come on in, please go ahead and make sure you give us a like, pause, give us a like, and share this video, please. And let's move on to the next topic at hand. Now, for this next topic, it is one of the highlights. We first talked about it 9 months ago right here on this channel, and it was about the pig kidney transplant. We had our first successful pig kidney transplant from a pig to a human 9 months ago. And now, just within less than a couple of weeks ago, we had another successful pig kidney transplant. There's been some tragic stories in between, but we'll talk about that. But let's first roll this clip on that first successful pig kidney transplant that we had with the trailblazer, Rick Slayman, 9 months ago.
And doctors in Boston are celebrating after the world's first successful transplant of a pig kidney to a living person. A 62-year-old man who received the kidney is said to be feeling well and recovering nicely. ABC's Stephanie Ramos has more on what this means for the tens of thousands of Americans on the transplant list.
The world's first successful transplant of a pig kidney to a living person.
It was a high wire act in the OR.
Doctors at Massachusetts General Hospital announcing the first of its kind procedure took place this weekend, transplanting a genetically edited pig kidney into a 62-year-old man with end-stage kidney disease.
The kidney picked up immediately. Everyone in the operating room burst in applause. It was truly the most beautiful kidney I have ever seen.
Nearly 90,000 people are on the wait list for a kidney in the U.S., but less than 16,000 are transplanted annually. On average, 17 patients die every day while they wait. For this transplant team, the stakes couldn't be higher.
Yeah, that was such exciting news when we first learned about that. Shador, you know, unfortunately, he did not live past 3 months. You know, he was very aware of the risk, and it is still experimental, the pig kidney transplants. But what happens is they modify the pig. If they were just to take a regular pig and plop the kidney into a human, it would be rejected within minutes, maybe even seconds. But they modify the pig kidneys. They actually insert genes to keep our bodies from rejecting them as quickly. One thing is that for the people who at least initially have gotten the pig kidney transplants, they've been very sick people already. Like he had already had a transplant in the past, which had failed. He had diabetes, he had high blood pressure. And since him, we knew of another pig kidney transplant, another. And so far, for those initial 4 pig kidney transplants, no one lived beyond 3 months. Okay, again, very sick people getting the transplants. And so we're not talking about healthy people, but none of them lived. I want to ask a question. If you had kidney failure, okay, and your only option was to either stay on dialysis or to get a pig kidney, would you volunteer to be a part of this experimental research, knowing that the first 4 pig kidney transplant recipients have passed away thus far? But if you had a choice between dialysis or getting a pig kidney, would you still go ahead and opt up and be person number 5? Anyone chiming in, Shador? Say yes if you would still go ahead and knowing that 4 people passed away, you would opt in and be person number 5 in the name of science if you were on dialysis. Anyone say yes?
Not just yet, Dr. Frita.
Anybody say no? Say no if you're like, heck no, I'm not going to be in this experiment. And a lot of times people will call medicine guinea pigs an experiment. This actually is experimental research. So anyone saying that it's an experiment is true.
Yeah, VE chimed in and said no.
She said no.
Yep.
So,
also Leslie. They said no.
Said no. Okay.
We have a yes.
Oh, who said yes?
Margaret.
In the name of science. What in the world? So yeah. So I know there are a lot of people, if they were going to be the first one or even the second one, they'd be like, sure, I'll try it. But I guess most of you are saying that after 4 transplants of pig kidneys, which we've had now, all of the human recipients have passed away within 3 months. They're saying, okay, y'all already 4 passed away. I wouldn't be number 5. Well, guess what, Margaret? There's someone who said yes.
Yes.
Margaret, there's someone who has your same sentiment, because just within the last couple of weeks, we did have pig kidney transplant into a human number 5. Knowing that 4 people have passed away with 3 months, we have a woman in Alabama, a grandmother who agreed to have a pig kidney transplant, and she is the 5th successful. And by successful, I mean, the initial uptake of the kidney. She's the 5th person to receive a pig kidney. Okay. And so let's roll a clip on her. She's with you, Margaret. She's like, I'll do it.
A major medical breakthrough, an Alabama woman providing new hope for people who desperately need an organ transplant because her new kidney came from a pig. ABC's Morgan Norwood has the story.
I could feel the blood flow through my veins. That's how strong the kidney was pumping.
Tawana Looney is only the 5th person in the world to receive a genetically modified organ from a pig. She's part of a growing group of trailblazers undergoing groundbreaking procedures, which doctors say could help change the world.
It is, I think, a very important component of a multifaceted approach to trying to relieve the organ shortage.
Recipients right now are approved on a case-by-case basis.
If you were to put an unmodified farm pig organ, whether it's a kidney or a heart, into us, we would reject it in a matter of minutes. So we're actually adding a gene that inhibits the immune system right to the organ.
The first 4 recipients all passed away within 3 months of their transplants, but Looney is so far the healthiest person to receive a pig organ. She spent more than 7 years on dialysis and 5 years waiting for a human kidney. But her blood was so full of antibodies, she said her body would have rejected hundreds of potential matches.
In 2017, I heard the news of this research. Oh, it just gave me so much hope. It just did. I said, I want to do this. I want to try it.
This isn't the first time Tawana has been involved in a kidney transplant. Back in 1999, she donated one of her kidneys to her mother. And now she hopes her latest procedure will help future generations.
All right. So yes, knowing that 4 people did not make it after the pig kidney transplant, they didn't live past 3 months. We have our 5th pig kidney transplant. And so I'm certainly praying that she does well and that we get the science right. They brought up something that was really key. They said that she is the healthiest of the recipients thus far. And so hopefully, prayerfully, she will do well. But it's really amazing when it comes to kidney disease. And so, it was mentioned that 17 people die every day waiting for a kidney transplant. Well, the racial discrepancy is what's really striking to me. And one of the reasons why I became a nephrologist, a kidney specialist. We know that Black people are 4 times as likely to have kidney failure, yet we only make up 11% of people who are receiving the life-saving transplants. So there's a huge racial discrepancy. And so you have people who are waiting and waiting and waiting. And for many reasons, we won't get into them today, Black people don't tend to make the top of the list. And so the pig kidney could potentially allow more people in general to live. We had like 90,000 people on the waiting list for a transplant, and only about 16,000 actually get those transplants each year. So what does that mean? The other ones are either on dialysis or they end up not making it. So it's a real issue. And so I am an optimistic scientist to the end. I believe in safety. I do. And so I'm just really praying that with this experimental research, we get the pig kidney, these genetically modified pig kidneys right, and so that we can help to save more lives. Okay. All right. if y'all have any questions, and for those of you who are new to the channel, again, I am Dr. Frita. I'm a medical doctor with multiple board certifications. I do actively practice nephrology, meaning I'm a board certified kidney doctor and high blood pressure doctor. And so if you have any questions about kidney transplants, kidney disease, go ahead and put them in the chat. So for the live Q&A, that is something that we do monthly for members only, but I will try to get to a few questions. Of course, I always prioritize my members in the chat. And if you are so kind as to give us a super chat, then we'll make sure that we get to your question also. So if you have any questions, go ahead and get those together. And if you would like to join our membership where we can have a full session of members only live Q&A, then please join us. And also while you're here on this YouTube channel, you are on the Dr. Frita YouTube channel, where I'm very proud to say that we have over 800,000 subscribers. Last I looked, we had over 818,000 subscribers. I'm very appreciative and thankful to all of you who have been with me, supporting me, and who have been sharing the evidence-based medicine that I give. I give information in videos in a language that's easy to understand. So not only do I talk about kidney disease, high blood pressure, I talk about lupus, I talk about various infections, I talk about immunizations, I talk about diabetes. Oh my gosh, I talk about diabetes. In fact, my most recent YouTube video was filmed by my daughter, my oldest daughter, back from college. You know, you got to put them to work when they come back home. But we went grocery shopping, and I literally shared with you the best foods to eat daily if you have diabetes type 2. And just before that, I shared a video on 9 winter comfort foods. My son helped me with that one. He had an attitude, but he's just on 9 winter comfort foods that are helpful in lowering blood pressure and good for heart health as well. So yeah, make sure you go ahead and subscribe and hit that notification bell so you'll be among the first to know when we release new medical content. Yes. And you know, the top cause of kidney failure is diabetes. The second cause, high blood pressure. And I'm very proud that I've written a book, Under Pressure, A Guide to Controlling High Blood Pressure. Well, yes, I talk about Western medicine because, of course, I graduated from Meharry Medical College, HBCU, where I was an AOA. Thank you very much. That's the highest honor attainable by a med student. I had an A average, straight A average in med school. And then I went on to do my med peds residency at Georgetown, completed that. And then I came on here to Atlanta, where I completed my kidney fellowship in nephrology, so kidney disease, high blood pressure. And after that, just because why not, I got a board certification just this year in obesity medicine. Well, I integrate all of my knowledge in this book, Under Pressure. We talk about medicine. We also talk about lifestyle changes that can help you to lower blood pressure, using food as medicine, exercise, an integrative, holistic approach. So please, you can click the link in the description. Also, the book is on Amazon or one-stop shop on my website, dr.frita.com. You can get the book there. All right, let's keep on going. Please make sure you hit like, and share this video because we're moving on to our next topic, one of the big health headlines of 2024. And y'all know it was P. Diddy, Puff Daddy, Brother Love, Sean Diddy Combs. His year was a bit eventful. We know we first heard about him when Cassie accused him back in November 2023 of domestic violence, of freak-offs, and he said that she was lying, that it was a money grab. The next thing you know, he settled with her. I guess he thought that that shushed her up, but then accusation after accusation led him to being locked up. They won't let me out. So he's locked up. But as far as the medical headline, we definitely have talked about it this year. One thing with his alleged drug use, I'll say alleged, but when the FBI went to arrest him, they allegedly found pink powder consistent with being pink cocaine. And so that's one of the headlines we touched on, pink cocaine, how it can affect your health. So let's roll this clip. This is some short form content I did on that, which you can find on this YouTube channel. Arrested. Bags of pink powder were allegedly found in his hotel room. I'm Dr. Frita, and here are 5 things to know about pink cocaine. 1, it is a powdered mixture of drugs, and it usually does not even contain cocaine. 2, pink cocaine typically contains 2CB, which is a psychedelic drug that was originally used to treat sexual dysfunction, MDMA, ketamine, and caffeine. 3, other substances that have been found in some pink cocaine concoctions include LSD, cocaine, bath salts, methamphetamines, and fentanyl. 4, dangerous effects may include hallucinations, increased blood pressure, increased heart rate, abnormal heart rhythms, seizures, coma, and even death. 5, pink cocaine has been associated with cases of physical assaults, motor vehicle accidents, and sexual assaults. Yes, yes, yes. So I'll be honest, until this whole Diddy situation, I had never heard of pink cocaine, which usually does not even contain the drug cocaine. Yes, I'd heard of all the different substances in them, the 2C, 2CB, ketamine, MDMA, possibly fentanyl, all those things. But the pink cocaine, oh, that was a new one on me. What I had heard of was the GHB, or the date drug, where people get amnesia, they lose consciousness, can be slipped into drinks. And there have been some reports of all that baby oil that people were talking about. There could have been some of that GHB there. We don't know. Everything's alleged. Look, don't y'all come suing me. But yeah. So let me ask the good med heads this. So pink cocaine, we know about Sean Diddy P. Diddy allegedly doing the pink cocaine. But can you tell me what very famous singer who was a part of a huge boy band, what is the name of this famous singer who lost his life, this past year, who lost his life after falling from the 3rd story of a hotel in Buenos Aires, Argentina? And they did reportedly find pink cocaine among other substances in his room. Does anyone remember the name of what singer lost his life? Yeah. And meanwhile, if you want to know more information about pink cocaine and some of these other substances, make sure you check out some of my videos that I have right here on this YouTube channel, the Dr. Frita YouTube channel. I have one on what is Molly. Molly Percocet. Molly Percocet. Molly, also known as MDMA, also known as ecstasy. I have a video here, What is Molly? Where I go into detail about Molly, what it was originally used for, because it did actually have some medicinal purposes, right? It was something that was used in therapies for certain conditions. But the Molly can also cause multiple issues: fever, hyperthermia, or an overheated body. It can even lead to kidney failure, which is where I come in. So yeah, check out that video, What is Molly, after you're finished with this live. And of course, we know some of the other things. The different, like ketamine is a dissociative sedative, and we know that it can cause issues, even hallucination. And some of these things, if you overdose, you can even stop breathing. So if they slip fentanyl in the pink cocaine, that can lead to a respiratory failure. Okay, so yeah, check out the videos that I have on these things. Meanwhile, did anyone remember which singer lost his life after falling from a 3rd story hotel and they found pink cocaine in his room? Anyone?
No, ma'am.
All right. Well, it was Liam.
Everybody said they forgot his name. They know who you're talking about, but they forgot his name.
Yeah. Okay. Do y'all remember what group he played in? Harry Styles is in the group. And it's not Harry Styles. The person is not. What's the name of the boy band? See, that's not my genre of music, but you know, all the good young folks know it. And apparently they're very, very popular. And the only reason I know Harry Styles is because he's been on the Grammys and they talk about his outfits and his personal love life. And
okay.
Yeah, who?
So Bella chimed in with One Direction.
One Direction. That's right.
Belinda
One Direction was
has it right. Belinda says Liam Payne.
That's it, Liam Payne. All right, let's roll this clip on Liam Payne, because you remember we brought you the story fresh here on YouTube Live when we first found out he passed away, and we were like, we didn't know if it was an accidental death. Like, could he have been having a hallucination, or did he jump? We'll never know. But it looks like the authorities are calling it an accidental death, like he was in the midst of hallucinations. We'll never know. We do know that he had substance found at his autopsy in his system. He had pink cocaine. He had regular cocaine. If you want to ride. He also had crack. Okay. And y'all know Whitney told us that crack is whack. But let's roll this clip. It was Liam Payne.
At times.
Liam Payne's toxicology test results showed that the former One Direction singer had a cocktail of drugs in his system at the time of his tragic death, according to a new report. A partial autopsy found that Payne had substances including cocaine, crack, and benzodiazepine, which is a type of depressant, in his body when he fell to his death from a hotel balcony in Buenos Aires, Argentina, on October 16th, sources told ABC News Monday. The test also found pink cocaine, a recreational drug that typically mixes methamphetamine, ketamine, MDMA, and others.
The cheapest security for the people outside and the people inside the building is to lock on the front door. So we used to get locked in our hotel rooms all the time. And what I find about my life now is I'm still in a syndrome sometimes where I become almost agoraphobic in a way because I wait for work to tell me where to go. So the biggest thing in any therapy session or anything I ever do is like, what do you enjoy in life? And I don't really know because I just choose to enjoy the minibar and then smash up the hotel room.
Yeah, that's pretty much a sad commentary. I know one thing he said in interviews about being a father, because he was a father, he had a son, and they asked him, what was the scariest thing about being a father? He said that my son might end up like me. Those are chilling words. But yeah, so not only was it P. Diddy, it was also Liam, who was reportedly using pink cocaine. So if you are someone who is dealing with substance use, please contact your doctor. We even have certain helplines, like if you text 988 and please seek help. Please seek help. And it's so prevalent, substance use. And they used to be thought of like there was a joke calling people crackheads and thinking, oh, it's just poor people or low income people. No, as you see, you have people of the highest tax brackets who are using substances, and substances do not discriminate. Okay. They can end up overdosing. They can end up not being alive as well. So don't think that you're too good to label yourself as having a substance abuse issue, and just seek help. All right. Speaking of someone who has even self-reportedly had a history of substance use, Wendy Williams, even back, during when the Wendy Williams show was popping, she shared that she had a history of doing cocaine in her past and things of that nature. Well, now we know that we've watched, unfortunately, a downfall with her, and she's had the diagnosis of dementia. And, this was one of the big 2024 stories, because they were saying that her downfall is permanent. Okay. And I told you then, and I say it now, I'm still not holding on to that just yet, because the information we received came from the person who is, seeing over her, Sabrina, and there have been some questions about her guardianship. And so, if she truly does have the, primary progressive aphasia, that type of a thing, then it's possible that she has a permanent dementia. But there were also reports, even her son said in that documentary, that it could have been an alcohol-induced dementia. And if that's the case, then it's possible that she could have some improvement. We don't know. Or were they talking about her lymphedema and her not being able to walk well? Is that what the guardian meant when she said that it was permanent? I don't know. I would love to hear it from, a more neutral source. And again, HIPAA's in effect, meaning we don't have the right to know Wendy's medical information. But I'm telling you, I'm still pulling for Wendy. And apparently Wendy was able to go to her son's graduation. He did, despite everything going on, he was able to graduate from college, and reportedly he is going to head to law school. But Wendy was there, and let's just roll the clip and see what Wendy's up to in this headline.
Alrighty.
Wendy Williams makes a rare public appearance to support her son in a big way. The former daytime host is seen attending her son Kevin Jr.'s graduation from Florida International University December 19th in Miami. Wendy is seen wearing a sparkling black dress for the occasion while riding a mobility scooter. She adds a pop of color to her look with a red lip and accessorizes with silver and gold jewelry, including a necklace with her first and last initial, W. The rare outing comes amid Wendy's diagnosis of primary progressive aphasia and frontotemporal dementia, which her care team says have already begun to impact Wendy's communication abilities, cognitive functions, and has created challenges in her daily life. And recently, a legal filing claimed her health has continued to decline. According to the document obtained by TMZ back in November, Wendy's guardian said the 60-year-old, quote, has been afflicted by early onset dementia and, as a result, has become cognitively impaired and permanently incapacitated. E-News previously reached out to reps for Wendy for comment on the filing, but hasn't heard back. According to the outlet, the filing is part of ongoing litigation between Wendy's guardian, Sabrina Morrissey, and the Where is Wendy Williams Lifetime documentary. Earlier this year, when Wendy and her team decided to share her diagnoses publicly, they explained her reasoning for doing so. saying in a February 22nd press release, the decision to share this news was difficult and made after careful consideration, not only to advocate for understanding and compassion for Wendy, but to raise awareness about aphasia and frontotemporal dementia and support the thousands of others facing similar circumstances. One day later, Wendy herself addressed her health news publicly, telling E! News in a statement, "Let me say, wow, your response has been overwhelming. Please just know that your positivity and encouragement are deeply appreciated."
Yeah, it was good seeing Wendy at her son's graduation. She also told somebody off. She cursed somebody out. Apparently, they misplaced her scooter. And no, I'm not saying I promote people cussing people out, but it was kind of nice to see that she still had that fire in her. So we'll see what 2025 has to bring for Wendy. Y'all know I'm pulling for her because, full disclosure, yes, I'm a Wendy Williams fan as well. So let me tell you this, as we get ready to wrap up, and we will hit a few of the live Q&As. So for those of you who have questions, go ahead and get ready to type those in the chat. Yes, I will prioritize the members. So if you're a member, we'll definitely get to your question. If you're not a member, it's not too late. Do a little click. Or we'll certainly, if you left us a super chat, we'll make sure we get to your question as well. But for Wendy Williams, in order to learn more about her dementia, and then in general about alcohol-induced dementia, about addiction, okay, about lymphedema, then make sure you go to right here on this YouTube channel, Dr. Frita, go to my playlist, and I have a whole list on what's happening with Wendy Williams, where I did a series, like a 6-part series, where you'll get all the information you want on Wendy Williams' health. There were a few hot headlines that happened in 2024 where I also have resources for you. Y'all go ahead, go to your notes section on your smartphone, or you can jot this down for Bishop T.D. Jakes. We definitely right here, if you will just go to the search bar, Dr. Frita T.D. Jakes, you'll see where right here on these YouTube lives, we went into detail about Bishop T.D. Jakes when he had an apparent loss of consciousness. Then we talked about the differential diagnosis, meaning all the possibilities of things that can cause you to have a loss of consciousness. We went over that. And then we came back and we did a follow-up once he had his medical procedure. And so you'll be able to see that here. And if you go to my Instagram at dr.frita, I also did a short form content on TD Jakes. Jamie Foxx, we just spent a lot of time talking about him and his Netflix special, What Had Happened Was. And I talked about the brain bleed. I talk about strokes. So right here on this YouTube channel, if you go to the search bar, Dr. Frita strokes, I talk about the different types of strokes: hemorrhagic stroke, embolic stroke, thromboembolic stroke. And I go into detail and who's at risk. And I also talk about one of the major risk factors here. If you type in Dr. Frita unclog arteries, I have a video on how to unclog your arteries naturally. And I talk about natural remedies for decreasing cholesterol. What are some of the other headlines? That brain-eating worm, according to RFK Jr., where he said a parasite, a worm ate a portion of his brain. Truth be told, that's not exactly how that works, but it sounded like he was describing a pork tapeworm where one of the eggs probably got walled off in a cyst. Don't worry, I go into detail. So if you put Dr. Frita brain-eating worm right here on this YouTube channel, you'll get all of that information. So those we covered, as you can see, so many hot health topics in the headlines this year, and we will continue to do so moving into 2025. But as far as the last topic we'll cover here today before we go, I want to talk about Princess Kate, because she shared that she was diagnosed with cancer. Now, to my knowledge, she never said specifically what type of cancer, but she did share that she underwent chemotherapy, which was really more than what we expect from the royal family to share. They tend to be quite secretive, but she was quite vocal, saying that she underwent chemotherapy for the cancer that she had. And so what I'd like to do, we'll roll this clip, but as we roll it, I want to ask you about what cancer screenings are available for women, what age-appropriate cancer screenings are available to women. And so right now I'm talking to my women, but guess what? Once you go to my Instagram, please go on to that Instagram. I have so much over there. I actually just did a short form of content on Saturday. I posted it on Saturday where I talked about men, because we know we lost Greg Gumbel. We lost Greg Gumbel at the age of 78. You know, Brian Gumbel's brother, sportscaster. He actually was quite historic in his sports broadcasting. But we lost him to cancer at the age of 78. And so on my Instagram at dr.frita, if you go over there, give me a follow, you'll see that I'm talking to my men there, and I'm asking the question, men, have you had your age appropriate cancer screening? I go through prostate, I go through lung, I go through colorectal screening, all the things. And so please check that out and share it with your loved ones. If you are a man, if you love a man, if anything, man, share it with the men folks. So I'm talking to you over there, but right now I'm about to talk to my women for age appropriate cancer screening. So let's go ahead and play a portion of this clip. And then I want y'all to put in the chat, what are the age appropriate cancer screenings that women are recommended to have done?
A holiday season with special meaning for the royal family after a challenging year. King Charles and Princess Kate both back in the spotlight after their own health battles. The king set to deliver his annual holiday message from a hospital chapel on Wednesday. A joyous Kate returning to one of her most celebrated appearances, hosting the Together at Christmas concert at Westminster Abbey, set to be broadcast tonight, along with Prince William and their children. NBC's royal contributor Emily Nash was there.
It was just a really magical and special event. You know, Kate had this as a milestone in her diary to return to after completing her treatment, and it couldn't have been more perfect. And she looked like she'd never been away.
Over the weekend, the princess releasing a moving message tied to the event.
Christmas is one of my favorite times of the year, a time to slow down and reflect on the deeper things that connect us all.
The service full of deeply meaningful notes this year.
She wrote a personal letter to everyone attending the service.
The princess sharing a rare moment of reflection, focusing on empathy and connection.
The Christmas story encourages us to consider the experiences and feelings of others. It encourages us to turn to love, not fear. It is love, which is the greatest gift we can receive.
All right. So she seems to be doing well, Princess Kate, a young woman, mother, wife, of course, living with cancer in front of the whole world. She's undergone her chemotherapy. Shador, do we have anyone in the chat who shared what types of cancer screenings that people born female should have done, the women cancer screenings?
Yes, so Bella.
Hi, Bella.
Please get your annual mammogram.
Annual mammogram. Wonderful. So yes. So really starting at the age of 18, it is recommended that women at least have the discussion with your doctor, with your primary care doctor, with your OBGYN. For women of average risk right now, it's recommended that no later than by the age of 40, you get a mammogram done to screen for cancer. And in the younger ages, it's recommended that you have it done every year. You have different people with different guidelines, like the U.S. Preventive Services Task Force versus the association dealing with the people who in obstetrics and gynecology, OBGYN. My OBGYN, myself as well as the American Cancer Society, we tend to be a bit conservative, recommending the yearly mammogram, as Bella stated, but consult with your doctor and find out the recommendation that's best for you. Now, if you have a family history of breast cancer, then it may be recommended that you get screened earlier. For example, if you have a mother or a sister who was diagnosed with breast cancer at the age of 40, it may be recommended for you to get your first mammogram at the age of 30. Also, if you have some of the genes that predispose you to getting breast cancer, like the BRCA gene or PAL, then it may be recommended that you get an early diagnosis, an early screening. So make sure that you talk it over with your doctor. The good news is that when the breast cancer is detected early, there is a great survival rate. I just had my mammogram December 23rd. Y'all, I got all of my end of the year stuff done. I really did. But, and I had the 3D mammogram. Oh, if you go to my Instagram, look, I have a video on that too. I took y'all with me while I'm in there supposed to be changing into my pink gown. I had the phone up there rolling my eyes as I always do when I'm a patient. Y'all, I love being a doctor. Don't love being a patient, but I do it. I practice what I preach. I really try to. But yeah, so make sure you talk to your doctors. Don't be scared. Just go ahead, face the music, get your mammogram screening. Thank you, Bella. Oh, men folks, even though I'm talking to the women right now, men can get breast cancer. 1 out of 100 cases of breast cancer is in a man. And we'll move on, but y'all throw in the chat, what men do y'all know who have had breast cancer? What celebrity or famous men have had breast cancer? All right. So we'll pop those answers in as they come for the men with breast cancer. Meanwhile, did anyone else answer as far as what cancer screenings women should be having done? It's recommended for women to have done.
Yes, KK. Hi, KK.
Hi, KK.
It's pap smear.
Absolutely, a pap smear. And that's a screening for cervical cancer. And we know cervical cancer. So, you have your womb or your uterus is shaped like a pear, about the size of your fist. At the bottom of your womb is the cervix, okay? And it looks kind of like a donut. So when the doctors go in and they take a peek, it looks like a donut with a hole in the middle. Well, it is possible to get cervical cancer. When the pap smear is done, that's a swab that tests for the cells of the cervix. And if they're cancerous or precancerous, then there's intervention that can help to either prevent it from turning to cancer, okay, remove those the tissue, or if cancer is detected by a pap smear, certainly there are treatments. And we know that we lost a beauty influencer. That's another thing we reported in 2024. What was her name? Jessica Petway, beautiful Black young wife and mother. We lost her to cervical cancer because she had a misdiagnosis. They were saying that she had fibroids or some other, gynecological disorder, when honestly she had cervical cancer and lost her life in her 30s. But yes, pap smear, it's recommended annually for most women in a certain risk category. And so make sure you're up to date on your pap smears. So very good. All right. Anyone else answer as far as women and the cancer recommended screenings?
Yes.
And for women, certainly by the age of 18. And if you are someone who is sexually active or who is at a higher risk, even before that, have a conversation with your doctor. And for even my teenagers, be honest with your pediatricians. If you are a teenager, your pediatrician should be kicking your parents out of the room. My kid's pediatrician kicks me out of the room. She tried it, but they have honest conversations without me. I don't put my ear to the door. Excuse me, we have someone. Excuse me.
So
okay, there are canines trying to interrupt my live. Okay, did anyone else say anything else about the cancer screenings?
Yes, Belinda.
Hi, Belinda.
Colorectal screening.
You got that thing right, colorectal screening. And so, guess what? At one point, it was recommended that you get screened by the age of 50. That's changed. If you are age 45, and you're of average risk, it's recommended that you have your colonoscopy no later than by the age of 45. Now, colonoscopy is the gold standard. There's other things as well. There's stool samples and genetic tests and all that stuff. Just have the conversation with your doctor, okay? Because we know that colorectal cancer is the third leading cause of cancer death in America. And we know that Black people tend to get diagnosed at earlier stages with more aggressive cancers. And we've had some losses, to colon cancer. We lost Nene Leakes' husband, Greg Leakes, to colon cancer. He was very open. He said that he was not getting his age-appropriate colonoscopies. And he talked about the toxic masculinity and not wanting to have anyone to go through what they have to go through. The camera has to go through the anus, the rectum, up through the colon. He didn't want that. And it might sound a bit ridiculous, but there are a lot of men who are like that. They don't want to get screened for prostate cancer. They don't want to get screened for colon cancer. Heck, you have men who say they don't even use a washcloth or wash themselves properly in their behind because of feeling like it will affect their sexuality. Judgment, this is not an evidence-based statement, but that's bananas, okay? Don't play with your health. Make sure everyone get your proper colorectal screening. If you are of the age of 45, consult with your doctor because that's the recommendation, okay? And again, if you have a family member, specifically a first-degree family member, father, mother, brother, sister, if they had colon cancer, let's say at the age of 45, it may be recommended for you to get your colonoscopy by 35. And certainly if you have some type of a genetic predisposition like familial adenomatous polyposis or Lynch syndrome or something like that, then you'll get earlier screenings. Or if you have inflammatory bowel disease like ulcerative colitis or Crohn's disease, consult with your doctor. All right. So did anyone else say anything about women and screening? So we hit mammogram, we hit pap smear, we hit colon cancer. That's really good. Those are the important ones where we do have specific recommendations. Anyone else?
No.
Okay. So those are the ones that are specific to women, plus the colon cancer, of course, to men and women. There is one more now, lung cancer screening. Not for everyone, only if you are at risk. And you're considered to be at risk if you have a 20-pack year history of smoking, meaning that you smoked an average of a pack a day of cigarettes for the past 20 years, or 2 packs a day for the past 10 years. Okay, see what I did with that? 2 times 10, 2 packs in 10 years versus 1 pack a day for 20 years, 1 times 20. Okay, so if you have a 20-pack year history, and if you are between the ages of 50 and 80, and even if you've quit smoking now, if you smoked within the last 15 years, it is recommended that you get screened for lung cancer. How? with a low dose CT scan, okay, CT scan of the lungs. And we know that we lost Eminem's mother this year to lung cancer. All right. Shador, did anyone say which males have been diagnosed with breast cancer?
Yes. So we have a couple of answers.
What do we
Blue
have?
Butterfly says Richard Roundtree.
That's right. That's right. Shut your. That's right. Who else?
And Ronnie says Matthew Knowles.
Absolutely. Beyonce's father, Matthew Knowles, has been very open that he had a diagnosis of breast cancer. So men, no, we don't have any routine mammograms in the recommendations for you. But fortunately, because most men don't have a lot of actual breast tissue, just take a look in the mirror, observe yourself. If you notice that you have any lumps, touch your chest, okay? If there are any lumps in not only your chest, but also in your underarms, okay? Because there's breast tissue there. And look for any discharge. You should not be having discharge if you're a man. Woman either, unless you're breastfeeding. But if you have any bloody discharge, that's what Matthew Knowles had, or any milky discharge, consult with your doctor. Okay, it could be badness, it could be breast cancer. Also, if you have a change in the skin, if the skin starts to look like an orange peel, okay, kind of rough with these big pores, that could be a sign of cancer. Or if the nipple starts to look almost like eczema or like alligator or lizard skin, that could be a sign of breast cancer. So men, also pay attention to your bodies, and women, definitely make sure you get your routine mammograms. Okay, that's really good. And as far as other things like skin cancer, no routine recommendation for everyone. But as we mentioned, anyone can get skin cancer, even Black people. Bob Marley got it. So make sure you pay attention to your skin. And if you're someone who's at high risk, like if you have fair skin, if you have fair skin, or if you have a lot of sun exposure, then just make sure that you consult with your doctor. And your dermatologist may recommend that you get a head to toe skin exam from everywhere, rooted to the tutor, in the cracks and crevices. All right. So before we wrap up, we will hit on the live Q&A. Now, for the live Q&A, of course, that's right here. It's, I have the one for the members. So if you are one of my members, thank you. Thank you for being a part of the membership. Shador, let's give them some shout outs. And then also, we have our monthly live Q&A with members only. If you're not a part of the membership, please join. You get custom emojis, you get live Q&As. I do videos that are members only, okay? Where only you will see my inner thoughts, child, and extra medical information. So join the membership. Even if you don't join, trust me, I'll still be giving you the evidence-based medicine that I love to give. And then also, if you want to just have a one-on-one consultation with me, I do offer a telehealth concierge medical service. You can click the link in the description. And from anywhere in the world, I'll get your history and I'll give you information based on what you share with me about your medical issue. It can be a first opinion, a second opinion, whatever you like. But we're having great success with this medical concierge service. And remember, check out me on all social media platforms at dr.frita. I mentioned the News Nation that I did on Wednesday, and I will be posting that either later today or tomorrow on bird flu. But also on Saturday, I did talk about tips for a healthy, happy new year. And I posted some behind the scenes, but later this week, I will also post that clip. I had a great conversation on Good Day Atlanta. That was a good time. All right. So before we close up, did any of our members chime in or have any questions, or do we have any questions or comments we can get to before we close out, Shador?
Yes, I have a couple of pressing questions that I'll ask for you. Miss Michelle, hello.
Hi.
She says, can 5.9 prediabetes be reversed? CKD since 2008, stage 2/3A only once.
Okay, so it sounds like we have a few questions in there. So one is if the 5.9, we'll start with the first one.
Well, her main question is just, can 5.9 prediabetes be reversed? She knows she has a diagnosis of CKD already, but can the 5.9 prediabetes be reversed?
Okay. All right. So in dealing with prediabetes, so the hemoglobin A1C, which is what you're describing, yours is 5.9. And the hemoglobin A1C is a great measure for letting us know your risk for diabetes, because as opposed to just a blood sugar level or the glucose that you'll see when you look at my chart and you look at your labs, the blood sugar just gives you a snapshot in time. If you have a donut, you might have a high blood sugar. But the hemoglobin A1C tells the story over 3 months. It gives us the average. So if you show up with a 5.9 hemoglobin A1C, then you can't say, oh, no, that's because I just had a piece of cake. No, it's telling what's been going on with you for the last 3 months. So if you have a hemoglobin A1C that's between 5.7 and 6.4, you are considered to be pre-diabetic. You don't have diabetes, but your body's letting you know, we could go there. So then the answer is, can it be reversed? The answer is yes. The answer is yes. You can reverse it by doing things to improve your insulin sensitivity. So one thing that can be done, and consult with your doctor, if you are not at what's considered a healthy weight, if you have a high BMI, or specifically if you have a lot of abdominal obesity or belly fat, then having a lot of belly fat can cause you to have an insulin resistance, meaning your body may make insulin, but you don't respond to it as well. So getting that belly fat down or getting to a healthy weight can help your hemoglobin A1C to go down. Also, if you have a diet that right now that's kind of high in carbs, if you don't do a lot of exercise, if it's high in saturated fats and sugars, changing your diet to one that's high in lean proteins, like, fatty fish, like legumes, like beans, or changing your diet to not having a lot of saturated fat, but having healthy fats like in avocados and nuts and things of that nature, and making sure you have lots of vegetables and fruits that are loaded with antioxidants and anti-inflammatory. These things actually can help to reverse your hemoglobin A1C, exercising as well. So make sure you consult with your doctor. But the answer is yes, you have 5.9. That does not mean that you are destined for diabetes. It does not. It just means that you have the warning that it's time to make some changes, and you can get that down. Now, are there people who are already slim, flat bellies, and they exercise and they still get diabetes? Sure. Some people are genetically predisposed. But like I always say, your genetics load the firearm, but your environment pulls the trigger. So you make sure you handle that trigger and don't pull it. Despite what your genetics may be, you do everything within your control, which is lifestyle modification and consulting with your doctor. So yes, there is a possibility to decrease that. And the other thing is with the CKD, we know that diabetes is the #1 cause of kidney disease. So by your decreasing your hemoglobin A1C, that can also help to slow down the progression of kidney disease. So you'll be doing yourself a great favor by controlling the hemoglobin A1C, and you'll be doing your kidneys a favor. And perhaps you won't have to see a kidney doctor like myself. Thank you for that question, and good luck to you.
Michelle. Dr. Frita, I'm going to ask this question for you. This is from Alice. Hello,
Hi,
Alice. She says in September 2024, her GFR was 80 and was told to drink a lot of water. Her GFR is now, most recently, it's down to 49. She has a follow-up in January. Is this concerning? 80 to 49 eGFR.
Yes, it's concerning. Yes, it's concerning. And so I'm glad that you're aware of it. So typically, if your kidney function is doing pretty well, then yes, drinking a nice amount of water, staying hydrated, maybe 2 to 3 liters of water, is one way to help to maintain kidney health. However, for your kidney function to have dropped from 80 to 49, it could be a few things. One, if you're very well hydrated, then it's not going to be dehydration, but you also want to talk with your doctor, specifically a kidney doctor. I would recommend you see a kidney doctor at this point, a nephrologist, not just your primary care doctor. But with that drop, you want to make sure of a few things. One, that you haven't taken a medication that's affected your kidneys. And I have a video right here on this channel. Please write this down, put it in your notes. And I talk about 9 drugs and medications that can cause kidney damage. So if you just put that in the search bar in YouTube, Dr. Frita, 9 medications and drugs that can affect your kidneys, then I talk about some medications that can cause a drop like that, such as NSAIDs, okay, ibuprofen, Motrin, Celebrex, naproxen. I'm not demonizing those meds, but if you have vulnerable kidneys and if you're taking them in higher amounts than what's recommended, that can cause a drop. If you're on certain medications like ACE inhibitors, so lisinopril, benazepril, in some people, most people, these are wonderful medicines, but for some people, it can cause a drop in kidney function. So take a look if you're taking that medication. Also, if you're on any type of a chemotherapy, there's certain chemotherapies that can cause kidney damage, even some antidepressants, certain diuretics or water pills. Of course, water pills can be good, getting fluid off. They can treat congestive heart failure, things of that nature. But in some cases, a diuretic can dry you out. You can be over-diuresed. So if you're on Lasix, if you're on hydrochlorothiazide, and you have this drop, talk to your doctor to see if that medicine is still right for you. Okay, so that's one thing. The other thing is that it's possible to have a blockage of your kidneys that will cause a drop like that. So you're a woman, and say you've had surgery, you've had C-section before, or you have fibroids, or you've had some other abdominal surgery, where you can get adhesions or scarring that are in your abdomen, and that can cause a cutoff or a blockage or scarring around the kidney, and it can lead to what we call hydronephrosis, meaning you get a backup of fluid in the kidneys, and that fluid can push against the walls of the kidneys and literally cause the kidney function to drop. Okay. And again, of course, we covered the hydration, but if on the morning of your test that you took, did you just go running? Did you go for a 3-mile walk and then you didn't drink water and you were running and you were taking the clothes to the cleaners and you were running and doing things? Were you very dehydrated on the morning of the exam? When you talk to your doctor, ask about doing a repeat in case you weren't hydrated on that morning and that caused the drop. And the other thing is you could have glomerulonephritis or an inflammation of the kidneys. In other words, there could just be something that's causing your kidney cells not to function well. It can happen if you have lupus. Okay. So your doctor should screen you to see if you have that. So something like a lupus nephritis. It can happen if you have IgA nephropathy. It can happen if you have FSG or focal segmental glomerulosclerosis. I can go on and on and on. Bottom line, it is concerning. I'm glad that you came to us this morning to share. And I want you to, when we finish with this live, make sure you call your doctor and ask to be seen by your doctor, and ask about seeing a kidney doctor as well, so that you can get ahead of the issue. Also, right here on this Dr. Frita channel, I want you to go to my playlist on kidney disease. I talk about foods that are good for kidney disease, symptoms of kidney disease. I talk about listen, I have so many videos on kidney disease and how to improve your kidney health. So I wish you the absolute best. It is concerning. That does not mean that this is the end of the road. It means that we need to find out why you had the drop in the GFR and to see what we can do to reverse it.
All right. Thank you, Dr. Frita. Alice came back in and said she was taking a lot of ibuprofen.
Okay. Okay, good. Please still consult with your doctor. And yeah, I pray that these kidneys get better. But yeah. And if you want to have a more in-depth conversation with me about your situation specifically, then please click the link in the description and join me for a telehealth concierge visit.
All right. Thank you, Dr. Frita.
All right.
I'm gonna
Are we
leave
good
you
to go?
Yeah,
What'd
let
you
me
say?
leave you with a comment, if I may.
Okay.
This is from Lawrence.
Hi, Lawrence.
It's Dr. Frita. Thank you for all the important information that you have given us about taking care of our health and what to eat and not to eat, and for showing us how we can have longevity. Thumbs up.
Thank you so much, Lawrence. I appreciate you. I appreciate that feedback. Y'all know this is just one of my highlights, getting on here, talking about health and really empowering you all to know that you can be your own advocates. And, I know it can be intimidating sometimes when you go to doctors or when you read Google Schmoogle or WebMD and you get overwhelmed. But I try to give you information here in this live and on this channel. And so that when you go in to see your doctor or when you are facing with health challenges, you are using your own brains, your own intelligence, and you have the power to advocate for your own health. Okay. And if you're seeing a doctor and you feel like the doctor is dismissive, or if they talk over you, or they tell you what to do all the time instead of talking with you, understand it is your right to change doctors. You want to find someone who's a great match. But I certainly thank you all for joining us. I pray that you have a healthy, happy new year. And I will see you on the other side of the new year for our next Medicine in the News. For my members, stay tuned. We are going to have our members only live Q&A. For everyone who's listening, that is when, for the entire session, all we do is question, answer, question, answer, question, answer. I love doing questions and answers. And my members get a chance to come back and forth, and to have that conversation with me. And again, to get the members only videos. Meanwhile, thank you for everyone who's here in the live chat. And thank you for those of you in the replay. Make sure before y'all walk out of this door, please give us a like, and please make sure that you subscribe and hit the notification bell. And we will certainly see you on the other side of the New Year's, wishing you and yours a healthy and a happy one. All right, Shador, thank you as usual. And I appreciate all of y'all.